I got game, going insane, MVP, Hall of Fame, I smash straight, call me Dame, gonna get back, make it rain.
What's going on, Stin Nation? It's Sensation, and after the clock hit 0 on that Lakers Sun series, I've been seeing a lot of LeBron slander, especially on Twitter. How toxic folks are on that app. The Mickey Mouse stuff and the bubble fried stuff and the Jordan comparisons need to end, and I'm telling y'all why. That's an overreaction. All right, first off, the Lakers won a championship last season. I know it's not this season, but don't act like LeBron just went to LA and he's been mediocre for this historic franchise. He came up short this year, but he won last year, so that kind of offsets some of the backlash. Now, the reason why he won the championship is important because remember the circumstances. Last year was a pandemic season. The NBA went on a hiatus for 4 months and picked back up in July. They was done playing in that bubble in October. The season started back up again in December. So this was a big deal for the Lakers and the Heat because they played in the final game of the season in October and it was going right back to basketball in December when teams that didn't even make the playoffs, they were just done right when the pandemic started, basically. A lot of teams got a bunch of rest, but the Lakers only got 71 days to rest. That's the shortest turnaround in NBA history. And when you have an aging player like LeBron and an injury-prone player like AD, then I don't really think that's all that fair to them. Even if you want to say it's always set up to where the finals team gets the least amount of rest, well, at least they're getting 3 months off. The Lakers, I just told you, they had the shortest turnaround in NBA history. 71 days, that's just not enough. And that short turnaround obviously affected the Lakers in the regular season. First out, you could tell that they weren't really ready to play basketball because they were just fatigued. Also, they didn't really give them full games off because the league would have went crazy, but there was games where LeBron and AD kind of snuck in some rest. They even lost some games trying to rest LeBron and AD. The big one that comes to mind is that first Warriors game when they sat LeBron and AD for some of the third quarter, a lot of the fourth quarter, because they had a 19-point lead and they just wanted to get them some rest, but the Warriors ended up coming back and winning that game. And considering how tight the playoff race was, those games where they tried to rest LeBron and AD but they ended up losing, that came to bite them, really. And going back to the quick startup thing, AD got injured and he came back, but he just never got a chance to get to 100%. LeBron also got injured and had a nagging injury that carried into the playoffs. But on an unrelated note, but kind of a related note, those Lakers games without AD, they weren't as interesting, but at least they were watchable. But the Lakers games without LeBron were unwatchable. I watched all of them, but guess why? Because all of the other star players were injured, so it's pick your poison. And that makes the NBA look bad because their star players, the faces of their league, barely played this year. But yeah, basically LeBron and AD's injuries are kind of because the league's desperateness to get the league back running again to get some revenue. I know that they had to start at that time to get back on a regular schedule, but man, I don't know. I thought that there could have been something done different, So they go into the playoffs against the Suns and they were dominant with AD until it went down. Then they got swept the rest of the way and lost 3 straight. Everyone wants to blame LeBron, but can we talk about these role players? I should give LeBron a pass because he was playing 1-on-5 basketball. Whenever he got the ball, all the attention was on him. So it was up to the role players to make wide open shots, and they were straight up doggy, and it just made no sense. These are professional athletes, and some of them are classified as shooters. So when they can't shoot, why are they even on the court? Might say defense, but this series wasn't lost on the defensive side of the basketball. It was actually offense. I already talked about the Lakers role players enough. They all disappointed. They had one job and one job only, and that was to hit a wide open jump shot. If they would have hit their shots, then they would have opened up the floor for LeBron to go full 2018 mode, but just never happened. I know Suns fans want their credit, but yes and no. The Suns are a good team, but I think that everyone forgot that the Lakers were a higher seed when they had LeBron and AD healthy. And they were creeping up on the Utah Jazz for the first seed with just LeBron before he got injured. When AD played in the playoffs, the Lakers were the better team. As good as the Suns were this season, Like, they didn't really win the series. The Lakers lost this series because of their health. So I'm hearing all these thoughts about LeBron can't be the GOAT because he lost in the first round. But hey, let's just keep it a break here. The person that they're comparing him to is MJ, and let's not forget that MJ got smoked in the first round like a couple of times actually. So, but this doesn't affect his GOAT case to me. I still have him as #1 all time. Like, does this series help his legacy? Like, no. But considering like everything that he's done throughout his career, one first round loss when he's 36 years old and he doesn't really have his second best player, like, it does nothing to his resume. It doesn't just take everything out of his Hall of Fame career. Here's what would have happened if LeBron just put on a cape and carried the Lakers to the finals. He would have carried them to the conference finals, maybe lost to the Jazz, but if he won in like 7 games, then he would have had to play the Nets and they would have got swept out of there. Why go all out just to lose, especially since he's played like a lot of basketball in the last year? It's nice that he's at home and him and AD can get the proper time, like, hey, even more time to rest. And I also expect the Lakers to like get a third star in the offseason because outside of LeBron and AD, like, everyone's just a role player, and that's like one of the main reasons why they lost this year. And that's why it's not really LeBron's fault. Like, if you blame him, that's fine, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but for me, like, he doesn't get any blame. But alright, that's gonna be the vid. My name's Sensation, and we're out of here. Peace.
Some way.